Archery in religious ceremonies. We all know that archery was vital for our ancient ancestors. It enabled us to hunt and wage war at a considerable distance. While this may not seem like that big of a deal to us today, the bow and arrow were significant technological breakthroughs when they first appeared. The importance of archery was surely not overlooked by the spiritual class in antiquity. As we shall see, archery has a spiritual aspect for many people across the globe and through the ages that continues to this day. The following video explores archery in religious ceremonies. Early religion. We all know archery is ancient. The Sipudu arrowheads discovered in South Africa, for instance, are dated to over 60,000 years ago. Interestingly enough, they were found in a cave, which ties into early religion, as we shall soon see. But what about religion? How old is it? Well, it seems safe to say that religion, in one form or another, is also very ancient. Unlike other animals, it seems that humanity seeks to find answers to many profound questions. What are we? How did we get here? What is the ultimate nature of reality? These deep and sometimes troubling questions are addressed through religious means. Religion seems to be as old, if not older, than humanity itself. Neanderthals and perhaps other humanoid subspecies, other than our own, Homo sapiens, could have also been religious. For better or worse, religion has held a very important place in the lives of ancient humans, as it does for many today. It is no surprise, then, that some of the first and oldest known writing is religious in nature. Also, there is a tantalizing amount of evidence that religion and ritual go back long before literacy. Let us examine the character of the shaman, some possible early rituals, and archery in religious ceremonies. The connection of archery, caves, and ancient ritual. Several ancient cave paintings or rock art were discovered in the 1870s. The first were discovered in 1875 in Altamira, Spain, and then in 1879 in the Chabot Cave in the Ardèche Valley in France. Since then, many cave paintings have been discovered in Western Europe. They include the following: Lascaux Cave, France. The Lascaux Cave complex in France contains several prehistoric paintings, some of which depict scenes of hunting with bows and arrows. These paintings are estimated to be around 17,000 years old. Altamira Cave, Spain. The Altamira Cave is renowned for its Paleolithic paintings, including depictions of animals as well as human figures with bows and arrows. These paintings are estimated to be around 14,000 years old. Cueva de la Pileta, Spain. This cave in Spain features Paleolithic paintings that include depictions of human figures using bows and arrows in hunting scenes. The paintings are estimated to be around 20,000 years old. The purpose of cave art. The purpose of ancient cave art, including whether it was ritualistic or religious, is a subject of ongoing research and debate among archaeologists and anthropologists. Some evidence does suggest ritualistic and religious significance in many cases. Shamanistic practices. Some researchers believe that cave paintings may have been created as part of shamanistic rituals. Shamans, who were believed to have the ability to communicate with the spirit world, might have used these images to connect with spiritual forces, seek guidance, or facilitate healing ceremonies. The symbolic and otherworldly nature of many cave paintings supports this theory. Spiritual communication. In many cultures, cave systems were considered entrances to the spirit world or the underworld. Cave paintings could have been created to communicate with spirits or as offerings to appease supernatural beings associated with these realms. Ceremonial sites. The placement of cave art deep within caves, often in areas that are challenging to access, suggests that the act of creating these images might have been part of elaborate rituals. The darkness and acoustics of cave paintings may have added to the sensory and spiritual experience during these ceremonies. Narrative and educational purposes. Storytelling. Some cave paintings seem to depict sequences of events or narratives. These paintings may have served as a form of storytelling, passing down cultural knowledge, myths, and histories from one generation to the next. In addition to storytelling, cave paintings could have functioned as educational tools. They may have been used to teach younger members of the community about important skills such as hunting techniques or the identification of animals and plants. The creation of cave art may have been a communal activity that fostered social cohesion. It could have brought people together in shared rituals or activities, strengthening bonds within the group. Symbolic representation. Cave paintings often feature complex and symbolic imagery. These symbols may have represented concepts such as fertility, protection, or the relationship between humans and the natural world. Some intriguing bits of possible evidence for the purpose of cave art being created as part of some sort of ritual is the fact that they are deep within caves. Some of the areas that have paintings are very tight and hard to access. If the art was meant to be displayed as art is today, for example, painting them deep within caves seems odd. Secondly, some areas of caves, Lascaux Cave Complex in France for instance, have animals that have clearly been painted and repainted in the same manner over the same image multiple times. This once again does suggest a possible repeated ritual. The idea of influencing events such as hunts with prescience magic or sympathetic magic seems to be as old as humanity. A deep dive into these topics will remain outside the scope of this video. The basic idea most people are familiar with is that of the voodoo doll. You make a doll and get some hair or something physical from the victim's body, and this magically binds the doll to the actual person. Affecting the doll in certain ways, poking it with needles for example, will cause a corresponding ill reaction in the intended victim. This is, of course, black magic and should not be practiced. Shamans and trance. These cave areas may have also been used by the shaman. The idea of the shaman is also as old as humanity. The shaman interacts with the spirit world through altered states of consciousness. Other than clearly recognizable animals, ancient cave art is replete with strange creatures, mostly humanoid animal hybrids. This may be reflective of visual hallucinations while in altered states, or a depiction of the shaman himself as he changes forms in the spirit world. A possible shaman shapeshifter is called the sorcerer. It has been found in the cavern known as the Sanctuary at the Cave of Trois Frères, Ariège, France, made around 13,000 BCE. The image has largely been interpreted as a shaman performing a ritual to ensure a good hunt. Another interesting image comes from a cave in Tassir Najer, Algeria. The figure is unusual, with what appears to be a large bee for its head, and mushrooms sprouting from all over its body. The image is considered by many researchers to have shamanistic connotations, possibly hinting at altered states. Other than images of animals and possible shamans in trance, ancient rock art prominently features archery. A successful hunt was life or death for early humans. Archery helped ensure a successful hunt. It can be said that archery has had a religious significance from the very earliest of times. In conclusion, the proximity of archery to spirituality and/or religion has strong evidence from the very earliest of times. This proximity and overlap between archery and religion continued from prehistory into more recent times. This connection has only strengthened in some cases. Also, the prevalence of archery in mythology attests to its significant influence on the stories humanity has told about itself. Archery in religious ceremonies. The Shinto rituals. Utilizing ceremonies or religious rituals to ensure successful hunts, good harvests, prosperity, and a host of other desirable outcomes continued on from the days of painting inside of caves. This is very evident in several Shinto rituals that live on in Japan to this very day. Archery in medieval Japan held special cultural significance, as it still does in the form of Yabusami and Kyudo. A clear example is the Shinto ritual called Matoi Shinji, or Omato. It is held at Kifun Jinja Shrine in January in Tongane, Shiba Prefecture. The ritual involves an archer shooting 12 arrows to divine the harvest for the year. Another ritual, called Musayu Misai, is held on January 7th at Semukawa Jinja Shrine in Sagami, Kanagawa Prefecture. This ritual involves a Shinto priest shooting an arrow at a target with the character ogre or demon. The location of the arrow on the target is used to divine fortunes for the coming year. The Toshiya, passing arrow. Another interesting archery event tied to religious ceremonies in Japan is the Toshiya. It in of itself is not specifically a religious ceremony or ritual. It is connected very deeply with the Sanjusangen-do temple in Kyudo, Japan. Back in 1606, a samurai named Asoka Hebei was said to have shot 51 arrows swiftly, one after the other, down the length of the temple. This feat apparently encouraged other archers to shoot down the length of the side of the temple, and an archery contest evolved over the years. The length down the one side of the temple from where the archer shot and the location of the target was 120 meters. There are only 5 meters of clearance under the eaves of the building, so this involves some precise long-distance shooting. The contest drew increasingly large crowds and fierce competition. 4 distinct events evolved over the 255 years the contest was held. From 1606 to 1861. The Hyaku, literally 100 shots. The winner is who can achieve most shots on target from 100 arrows. Seni, literally 1,000 shots. Most shots on target from 1,000 arrows. The Hyakazu, number of arrows in a day. Most arrows on target at 60 meters during a 12-hour period. The Oyakazu, many arrows. As many arrows on target in a 24-hour period. Archery ceremonies in ancient China. Chinese culture and history are ancient and feature archery in many aspects, from hunting and warfare to mythology and folklore, as well as philosophy, ceremonies, and rituals. With Chinese writing dating back approximately 35,000 years, many ancient texts illustrate the connection between archery, magic, divination, and early religion. Some noteworthy fragments of folklore come to us from the Western Zhou dynasty, 1027 to 771 BCE, and refer to the mythical archer Yi. In one of these early myths, the world is plagued by various monsters. However, the monsters have their match in an archer, Yi, who heroically defeats the monsters with some archery prowess. The heavenly emperor had pity on mankind, and so he gave his servant, the archer Yi, a cinnabar red bow and wooden fowling arrows with the power to defeat monsters. Archery and Confucian rites. Confucius, Confuzi, was a philosopher in ancient China whose ideas and writings greatly influenced Chinese culture for millennia. Although his teachings may be regarded as secular, there are those who propose that most of the context of his teachings is of a worldview that is, in fact, religious. Confucius seems to have been well acquainted with archery, as he uses archery-related metaphors in his teachings. Furthermore, the so-called 6 arts, which were a foundation for education in ancient China, became an integral part of Confucianism. One of the 6 emphasized arts was indeed archery. The 6 arts. The 6 arts were important for the cultivation of character as well as establishing social status, especially among the nobility, during the Zhou dynasty, 1122 to 256 BCE. Those who established a certain level of mastery of all of the 6 arts were said to attain a certain level of perfection, becoming junzi. The term may be translated as nobleman or superior man, or more commonly as gentleman. The 6 arts are as follows: rites, music, archery, chariotry or equestrianism, calligraphy, mathematics. Imperial examinations and rituals in Zhou China. During the Zhou dynasty of ancient China, the nobility practiced archery in a ritualistic setting. A strict protocol regarding the movements the archer would engage in was to be followed. Form, technique, and execution of the ritual proceedings were just as important as accuracy. These rituals were typically done in the presence of the emperor, who, like the pharaoh of ancient Egypt, held a position of semi-divine religious significance. Another purpose of holding these archer rituals was as a means of selecting and assigning various bureaucratic positions. One's conduct and success in the archery rituals were seen as a reflection of their character, and archery was seen as a fair means of selecting for various positions based on merit. Dache, Great Archery. Dache was the highest and most prestigious class of ritual archery. It was reserved for the most significant state ceremonies and rituals, particularly those involving the ruling monarch or the imperial family. Dache was conducted with the utmost solemnity and grandeur, symbolizing the authority and legitimacy of the ruling dynasty. It played a crucial role in reinforcing the divine mandate of the ruler and the harmony between heaven and earth. Binche, Guest Archery. Binche was the class of ritual archery performed to welcome and honor distinguished guests, particularly foreign dignitaries and envoys. It was a diplomatic gesture to demonstrate hospitality and goodwill. Binche showcased the host's respect for the guests and was conducted with a sense of ceremony and decorum. Yanche, Feast Archery or Happy Archery. Yanche was associated with celebratory occasions, especially banquets and festivities. It was performed during the joyful events such as weddings, harvest festivals, or state celebrations. Yanche had a more festive and relaxed atmosphere compared to the more formal classes of ritual archery. Zhangshe, Township Archery. Zhangshe was the most common and least formal class of ritual archery. It was typically conducted at the local level, within townships or rural communities. Zhangshe was part of ceremonial religious customs and traditions, often used in local ceremonies, celebrations, and festivals. It represented the everyday practice of archery and community bonding. Civil archery rituals fell out of favor with the collapse of the Zhou dynasty. However, it did remain an integral part of the military recruitment process for many dynasties that followed, including the Han, Tang, Song, Ming, and Qing dynasty. Archery and Hinduism, the Mahabharata. Archery and Hinduism have an intimate relationship, as can be attested by the epic known as the Mahabharata. The main protagonist is Arjuna. He is usually depicted as a skilled archer. Rites of shooting of arrows to the 4 quarters. Archery crosses the boundaries of space and time. Nearly every culture throughout history and across the globe has practiced it to a certain degree. It is interesting to note that a certain ritual involving archery was also widely practiced by people from very different cultures. This is the ritual of shooting arrows to the 4 quarters, often referred to as the 4 directions or the 4 cardinal directions. This was done as part of the pharaonic enthronement rite in ancient Egypt. In China, at the birth of a royal heir, the master of the archers, with the bow of mulberry wood and 6 arrows of the wild robus shoots towards heaven, earth, and the 4 quarters. Archery and the religion of Islam. Archery was prominent at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, and there are several hadiths that reverence archery, narrated by Salama bin al-Aqwa. The Prophet passed by some people of the tribe of Bani Aslam who were practicing archery. The Prophet said, "O sons of Ishmael, practice archery as your father Ishmael was a great archer. Keep on throwing arrows, and I am Bani so-and-so." One of the parties ceased throwing arrows. Allah's apostle said, "Why do you not throw?" They replied, "How should we throw while you are with them on their side?" On that the Prophet said, "Throw, I am with all of you." In Sahih Hadith we see, "Indeed strength is in archery. Indeed strength is in archery. Indeed strength is in archery." Muhammad was alleged to have owned 6 bows: Az-Zawra, Ar-Ruwa, As-Safra, Al-Baida, Al-Khatum, As-Sadad. Archery and indigenous religion. There are several spiritual and religious connections to archery in several indigenous cultures. A thorough dive into all of them will remain outside the scope of this video. However, we would suggest you look into the book on archery and the Lakota indigenous peoples by Joseph M. Marshall III. The Lakota Way of Strength and Courage. Archery and religion in modern times. After all this time, since the time of our cavemen ancestors, right up until this very day, there is still a connection between archery and religious ceremonies. Interestingly enough, the national head coach of the U.S. Olympic archery training program, Kisik Lee, has a religious approach to his archery training methods. He has attracted some scrutiny in 2008 after the New York Times reported some athletes felt uncomfortable with his strong advocacy of a religious lifestyle for the athletes of the Olympic Training Center. According to the news article, Lee frequently held Bible study classes, encouraged his archers to sing hymns and attend church, and sponsored the baptisms of at least 4 archers, including Brady Edelson. In conclusion, archery and religion have been with us since the beginning, and regardless of your personal beliefs or convictions, neither is going anywhere anytime soon.